Grab a form if you want one. I can see that Lorraine's come in with more water. Is it water or coffee you come in with? More coffee. Water. So if you do find that during the course of the meeting you need a drink or a refill, I'm very happy for you to move about and fetch them, but we will make a start. So welcome and thank you for attending our annual meetings. In our first meeting, which is the meeting for all the parishioners, everybody who lives in the parish or is on the church electoral of the parish has the right to vote. The meeting following the annual parochial church meeting, only those of you on the electoral roll are entitled to vote. Once you've been part of this church for 6 months, please do join the church electoral roll. So if you're not on it, I'm glad you're here. And please join the electoral roll as soon as you are able to, because it's a lovely way to include everybody. But I hereby open the meeting of parishioners. This meeting is a very short one, open to all, and its sole objective is to elect church wardens for St. Peter's. I've already said, but I want to reiterate my gratitude to Joy and to Phil for their service as church wardens at St. Peter's. Thank you, Jim. I've had 2 nominations for the election of church wardens from Joy Matzel and Phil Norris, who are prepared to continue serving us. Thank you for your willingness to continue serving. Now, I have to give you due warning. This is the last time Joy can offer herself before she must take a break. So if you think that being a church warden might be something you'd consider, this is a good year to maybe get alongside Joy and see what she does, and think about joining in, supporting and helping, maybe with a view to offering yourself next year. Because Joy won't be able to stand again without a rest, which she will deserve. Phil's penance isn't done yet. I'm so glad that they have been nominated again. Is there anyone else who wishes to stand for the role of church warden at this point? In which case there only being 2 candidates, I declare them duly elected as church wardens for the parish St. Peter's, and thank you for your continued service. Thank you, Joy and Phil. Assistant wardens, there's a difference between assistant wardens and deputy wardens. Assistant wardens are a PCC appointment, but I do want to note at this point my thanks to Mike Hicks and Rob Walker for your service as assistant church wardens during the last year, and for all that you have done. Your support to Joy and to Phil makes a massive difference. It is very much about 4 people working together, and so thank you. Rob is stepping down, and I'm very glad to say there is a candidate to take Rob's place as assistant warden, who I probably shouldn't dob in at this point, but it will go to the PCC at our next meeting for an appointment. But we are still going to be in safe hands. And thank you, Mike, for being willing to continue. And we'll announce the other name in due course, so thank you. I hereby close the meeting of the parishioners and open the annual parochial church meeting. This is a meeting at which you are all welcome, and all whose names are entered on the church electoral roll are able to vote. We have had some apologies. Do you want to give us the apologies, Emma? Are there any other? Yes. Alex Pierce. Has anyone else been given one? Yeah, Emma just said John's name, but you probably didn't hear it. I didn't point the mic properly at Emma's mouth, sorry. So yes, and John would normally be co-chairing this meeting with me. I've already said that John's role as lay chair makes the most enormous difference. We work very closely as a team, and I'm grateful to him for all that he does. And obviously there's a big gap at the front where John would normally be alongside me in chairing this meeting. And we wish him well and hope he feels much better soon. Thank you. So we go to the election of PCC representatives. As I've already said, there are two people who are due to retire this time, Mike Hicks and Robbie Walker. And I'm glad to say that both wish to stand again, although Robbie isn't here today. And Anna Pacey is stepping down because life gets in the way sometimes. But thank you for being part of the PCC in this term and the ones you've done before. Thank you. And thank you that you are prepared to stick with us as part of our church family and as our representative on Eakins Trust and as a school governor. Now, we need, therefore, there are 6 places on the PCC. I've been given the names of 4 people. I have to say at this point that I haven't got paperwork from Robbie, so I've actually only got formal nominations for 3 people, Mark Ellis, Mike Hicks and Ellie Wooding. Last chance. Is there anyone else that would like to stand? In which case, there being 6 vacancies and three nominations, I declare Mark, Mike and Ellie elected to the PCC. Welcome. Mark and Ellie coming in as new members of the PCC, bringing us a bit of fresh blood to it. Emma and John will be in touch. They'll let you know the dates. And the good news is the very first thing that you have to go to is a social at the rectory. Such a hardship. Now you all wish you'd stood for the PCC, don't you? Now, the other new member of the PCC who does not need electing, but I want to welcome to the PCC, is Doug Spenceley, who comes on now having taken on the role of assistant priest and is an ex officio member of the PCC. So welcome to you as well, Doug. Thank you. We move on to the appointment of the Independent Examiner of Accounts. I'm glad to say that Howard Letherland is willing to continue. Are you content for Howard to continue to serve us? Thank you. Can I have nominator and seconder, please? First 2 hands that were here at the front, Sue and Rosie. Thank you very much. And thanks to Howard for his service to us in past years. That brings us to reports. Now, hopefully you've also had a chance to see the APCM, the annual church annual report, which has the full reports in it. If you haven't seen one, there are some paper copies available at the back of the church, so do feel free to take one. The first report is the update to the electoral roll as of the 8th of April. And you can see, looking at that, my bit of paper is far too small, so I'm going to just step across, that there were 189 last year, and our revised roll gives us 192 people, which means that there have been 5 additions to the roll, 2 having come off. Since the 8th of April, at least 2 people have been further added to the electoral roll. So here's a sign that we are still a growing church, and there are plenty of new people in the church who will be added in the course of the year as they've been here for the 6 months and join in. Thank you for engaging and being a part of the church in this way. As we come to the annual reports and accounts, what we'd like to highlight, and John and I have thought about this, and we'd like to highlight to you the way that as a church we have sought to work with the 5 marks of mission over the last few years. And here they are on the screen. And you've heard about this a lot in preaching and services, that tell, teach, tend, transform, treasure, around which we have based the routine of the PCC and which comes out through the vision statement still. Under tell, here's some of our plans and the things that we're doing. So we are planning, and if you saw the PCC update email that went out, you will see that we're planning to launch a monthly newsletter. If you didn't see that, perhaps you haven't got a computer, there are some paper copies at the back of the church. And so we are planning to launch a monthly newsletter, which hopefully will help to fill the new gap that's currently in the church. In order to do that, we are having to sacrifice the pew sheet because there isn't the capacity within the staff team to do both. But we think we can provide you with all the information that you currently get in the pew sheet that you need and a whole lot more through a newsletter rather than by the pew sheet. We also think we can do better for the environment by producing a lot less paper. The newsletter will go out electronically, but anyone who needs a paper copy will have it delivered to them. We use Facebook. We can do more and we can do better, I have no doubt, but we do use Facebook a lot. And our A Church Near You website has been nationally recognised as an example of good practice. We also try to keep up those connections that I've been talking about through partnership with the local community. Coming up on June the 22nd, we've got a family fun day for the community, and this is us working in partnership, and we've had lots of really great events, including last year the coronation celebrations. And then there's outreach through TOTS and Young Disciples, and at the other end of the age scale, Tea at 2. That didn't fit in that little bit, but Tea at 2 and TOTS and Young Disciple, all these things that we're doing. And then we've got the Youth Cafe twice a month and Youth Life, which is now meeting twice a month. And we reach out to the school and do a lot of work with Weston Favell Primary School and some work with other schools. And we are contributing nationally too through the work that we're doing. And I'll say a little bit more about that later on. As well as being a church that seeks to proclaim the gospel, to tell, we seek to teach. And of course that covers some of our children's work. It also includes our regular worship with a range of styles of worship, of teaching and prayer. We're still live streaming at 10 o'clock on Sunday. We're still live streaming twice a week on Facebook. And the 4 o'clock service is well established. Wild worship is particularly popular. The good news is Rachel has trained up a really great team. So wild worship is going to carry on and go from strength to strength. Our Narnia-themed Advent and Christmas enabled some fresh teaching. It also attracted some new faces, some of whom have stayed around. So wonderful. Thank you for that. And it's proving to be an influence. I'm meeting leaders of another church this week to help them think about their plans for a Narnia-themed Advent and Christmas this year. So we keep on sharing the good news and the fruits of what we're doing. Last year, 13 people were baptised, 10 people were confirmed. And we've got life groups slowly growing. At the beginning of last year, there was the long-established home group and one new life group. Now there are more, Some meeting occasionally, some meeting more regularly. And out of this year's Lent courses, we've seen further growth. And then Mothers Union, a growing monthly meeting organisation, part of the wider Mothers Union, supporting Mothers Union projects and campaigns, and very important to us as a church. The Pastoral Oversight Team has been established this year. That is 6 members of the church ministry team and leadership team who work together to make sure that we are giving pastoral care to those most in need. The lay pastor team is in the process of being revamped, and we are almost there. And lay pastors are going to be drawn together to meet very, very soon as we re-establish the lay pastors' work and relaunch it now that all that pandemic stuff hopefully is behind us. She says that with her curate has COVID right now. But hopefully that is behind us and we will be working in better ways. And we've got home communions, not just recommence, but going out to more people. And we are always open to hear if you know of someone who needs communion at home, who wants communion at home, we're happy to hear about it. Your first point of call, if you have a question about lay pastors or you want home communion, is Sue. So please talk to Sue or to any member of the ministry team. We still have our prayer partners and our monthly prayer diary going. And there are requests going out to prayer partners all the time. If you have an urgent need that you want praying with, please call Ginny, let her know. Let's be a place that really prays for one another and those we love. And then we have Tier 2, open to all senior members of the community, our work at St John's, and we had the work of the Community Hub, which was supporting local refugees in a very active way until the very sudden closure of the West End Hotel. I'm sure you'll all remember that in October. We're still supporting local refugees as far as we possibly can. It matters. It's important work. Last year, we raised over £12,000 for charities, and we also gave donations in kind. And we have ongoing support for Food Bank. The boxes out there, when you do your shopping, just add one thing. If every one of us adds one thing to our shopping, that's a lot of stuff. And do keep an eye on Facebook. If you follow Facebook, Sue sometimes gives us updates when there's something really important that we need that has been run out of. It was washing liquid tablets last time. If they come in, are you inundated with washing liquid? You don't know. So it might still be washing liquid tablets. And baby basics as well. If you can give anything towards making up those baby baskets, there's a box there. Pop stuff into it. And Lorraine takes it over to Baby Basics for us, for which we are very grateful. Finally, on to treasure. Let's celebrate and congratulate our environment and fabric team. We were awarded a Silver Eco Church Award last year. That is not an easy thing to get. Bronze, fairly easy. Silver, we had to make an effort for, and a lot of work had to be done. Thank you, Eco Team, and well done. The bar for gold is really, really, really high. So as we think about those next steps and how we can do even better, listen out for that and do give your support to the team, because it's not easy and it involves all of us working together. Improving our environmental culture is a hugely important objective. It's there in our vision. It matters to us, and that's all of us acting individually. And it underlies decisions like letting the pew sheet go in order to have the newsletter. And it will affect all sorts of decisions going forward. Our new church hall boiler has really helped. And adjusting the heating controls in church also has really helped. And I've been promised that the church won't be overheated again, but I'm not going to complain about the fact that we had so many full services over Christmas that the church got really hot. And we are continuing to develop our church grounds. We've had guidance from the local Wildlife and Nature Trust to encourage wildlife and diversity. And I'd love us, hopefully in time, to win some Churchyard Awards as well. I've talked about our vision for the next 5 years already in the course of the service. If you haven't got one of those bookmarks, please take one. The vision builds on the Church Vision Day agreed in May. And here it is. We are a welcoming family where we all follow Jesus together. And over the next 5 years, in order to grow stronger as a Christ-centered community, we will encourage participation from people of all ages in leading worship and facilitate intergenerational fellowship. We will be a community that is generous in stewardship of money, of time, and of talents, enabling opportunities for everyone to contribute their God-given gifts. We will seek to proclaim the gospel throughout our parish and encourage church members of every age and stage into deeper discipleship and spiritual growth. We will continue to respond to human need within our church family and far beyond it. And we will continue to actively work for the good of the environment, individually, on our own property as a church, and seeking to affect the wider world. All of these things we are doing. All of them we will do. Now you can see in the ministry team that this year we said goodbye to Rosie as a reader. She's now a reader emerita and still very much an active part of the church. And you'll have seen this morning her licence as a chalice assistant. Rosie continues with leading tea at 2 and involvement in other church projects. So maybe there's no such thing as retirement, really. But Rosie has retired and stepped back from the ministry team, and we continue to be grateful for all you've done. Thank you, Rosie. And it was a delight this week to formally welcome Doug Spenceley, joining my Canon Michael as assistant priest in the parish. Thank you. And thank you that you don't just come on your own, like Michael with Felicity. You come with Hilary, and all of you make a difference. Thank you. Now, my final comments. I've mentioned already that Rachel is leaving. This is the point where the people behind Rachel just put their hands over her ears. I mean, actually, you're not stupid, Rachel. You know we're going to have a leaving collection for you. And in the email that I sent out, there were details, and on the bit of paper over there, there are details of how to give. If you can't access online banking and all of that sort of stuff, please put your donation towards Rachel's Leaving Collection in an envelope, label it clearly, Rachel Leaving Collection, so that we know what it's for, and then that can be added to the pot later on. But for most of you, we're using the same collection pot software that we did when Reverend Matthew left us, and we want to make a really generous gift to Rachel, who's got a large house coming, if it's ever built. She might have a really large house to move into. It's still a building site. So please be generous. Rachel leaves us on June the 2nd, as I've said. Please come and join in. We're going to have a wonderful time of fellowship as we have a parish lunch and make our farewells. And if you are able, on July the 14th, to head up to Peterborough in the afternoon, we'll have the chance to see Rachel being made a deacon, which is really special. And then I mentioned those national things. The Shakespeare team, that's the collective worship team, along with a lot of members of the Prayer Spaces team, who worked with Western Favour Primary School this year to provide prayer spaces around the theme of the Merchant of Venice and collective worship on the theme of the Merchant of Venice. Now, we have been being watched as we do this by the Church of England's national team. We are modelling for the Church of England what it looks like to do school-led, curriculum-based work. And they're really interested in what we're doing and how we're doing it. And there's two things to tell you. One is, we did such a good job that the whole of the NPAT, the Northamptonshire Partnership Academic Trust, Primary Academic Trust, want us to do it for all of their schools next year. So we're going to be needing a lot more help and a lot more volunteers. And I'm going to be thinking a lot about Henry V in the coming months as I prepare a much, much bigger, and I'm already starting to build a Northampton-wide team to deliver that because of the success of this year. And we've made a podcast, which will soon be available on the Growing Faith Foundation podcast on Spotify. We'll put a link up when it comes out, with Alex and myself and Mrs. Heslop from school and some of the children who were involved in the project. So we're making a difference, and I'll be doing some teaching work for the Church of England in the autumn as well. So we're making a difference not just locally, but on a bigger scale as we work together. And huge congratulations to John Fazackerley on being highlighted as our website, as the model website for how to do a great Lent and Holy Week and Easter, and to show other churches how to use a church near you well. This is the one slide I prepared because John made a modest thing and obviously didn't claim the responsibility, but it's John that did that work and he deserves the praise. He works really hard keeping our website up to date and informative. So, next slide. Thank you. Thank you to you all. Thank you for all that you do, all your contributions, and the part you all play. Now, before we go on to the financial statements, I'm just going to pause. Are there any questions or comments about what has been said so far? Hilary. That's a really helpful thought, thank you. And we can bear that in mind for our newsletter as it comes out. Thank you. I will take that into account. So the question was, under advanced dates, I did a PCC update on our last PCC. I put some advanced dates in, and Hilary has suggested that we have much further ahead advanced dates for things like harvest and going forward. Anne? There will be Kathy and John and Wendy Wheeler, who's going to be working on the project, and I will be meeting at the end of May, and we'll be working out what the content will look like and how the layout will be, and then information will come out about how to contribute and who to contribute to. It might not be Kathy, so news will follow as the editorial team starts to get ourselves into action at the end of the month. Thank you. So we turn to our financial statements, which have been circulated already. And the highlights for you, that our income for this year was a little bit increased on 2021. But excluding charitable giving and money raised by the Friends, income fell by £7,000. We're hugely grateful to Friends of St Peter's, who have raised £5,492 last year, compared to £1,382 the previous year. And the previous year was generous and good, and £5,492 makes a huge difference, so we're hugely grateful to that. Looking at expenditure, you can see expenditure has increased quite a bit since 2021, and the major difference is expenditure on the church hall, because in 2021 the church hall was still shut most of the time, and now it's back in full operation, and something is happening in term time most of the time. And in the church hall we also had some exceptional costs, particularly buying new chairs, because the old ones were proving to be actually dangerous, and replacing the boiler, which didn't like working. Other things to say, there have been unrealised gains on investments. So there are things we've missed out on, which is unfortunate. But we have raised £13,207 for 11 different charities. So thank you and well done for that. Needless to say, if our expenditure is greater than our income, and it is, we need to keep giving. We're not spending money willy-nilly. We're not spending money for the sake of it. So we do need to receive your gifts. They make a difference. And if you give to the church, however much it is, thank you. It really helps. It really makes a difference. A particular thanks to those 11 new households who started regular giving in 2023 and the 28 existing households who increased their giving in 2023. It really does help. As a result of that, our income from planned giving increased by £23,000. That's 17%. So thank you. That has made a difference. And despite the financial challenges of 2023, without those increases, we would be in a much worse place. So thank you. However, we've still got a deficit budget, which is not a position that we're happy or comfortable in. So John and I have had to tell the diocese that we might not be able to pay our parish share in full this year. That was not something we wanted to do. We have worked out how to pay the value of me. There's a sort of a sum for having a rector. We can pay that, but normally St Peter's pays more than that. We pay in enough to help other parishes. And having come from being the rector previously of one of those, well, actually 4 of those other parishes, it makes a difference knowing that there are churches like this that help out, that put that bit in the pot, that help other churches that can't afford it to have a vicar. And we might not be doing that this year. That would be really, really sad. I hope that we're not going to end up at the end of the year in that situation. The PCC won't make that decision until it absolutely has to. But we can't afford to stay in a deficit budget situation, and we won't do that to St Peter's. So, if you're not on regular giving, please consider signing up. It really helps us, and it helps us with budgeting to know what's coming in. And if you are, might you be able to increase your giving? I know not everyone can. I know it can be really difficult to make ends meet. But if you can, perhaps you could consider either £10 a month or 5% increase, whichever is the higher. Whether you can or not, though, thank you for giving. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for helping our work to keep going. Now, at this point, if there are any questions on finances, this is the point where I'm going to be going, I'm really sorry that John Fazackley is not standing next to me. But John Hunt is here. So do you have any questions about what the finances? Right, on we go then to the annual report on the fabric goods and ornament of the church and the parish, which again has been circulated, and highlights from it. We still need to do the quinquennial work from our last quinquennial. We're rapidly heading to a point where there'll be another quinquennial, and we really need to do the work before that. The estimated cost is over £30,000. We are trying not to spend parish money on it if we possibly can, or as little of parish money as we can. So we're seeking grants to meet the costs that are not covered by the Fabric Fund. We are grateful to the help of a professional fundraiser in helping us to do that, Julie Parsons, and to all who are giving advice and help. But hopefully it won't be too long before you see scaffolding go up, the work is done. Finally, to the proceedings of the Deanery Synod. Our representatives, Lorraine, John, Claire, who is also the lay chair of the Deanery Synod, Sue, Hilary, Spenceley and Peter Halstead have been attending, along with the clergy, who are all reps on the Deanery Synod. So we're kind of well represented as a parish on Deanery Synod. And we have attended 4 meetings between us, one on Christian stewardship, one that was primarily a social event, which is a rare but nice thing, a January 2 presentation, a presentation on healing ministry. And I think we want to say something about one that's coming up. Claire, would you like to come forward and tell people about the Deanery Synod in September so people can get it in their diaries? Talking about advanced dates. September the 26th, I think it is. I'll just pull this forward. So I'll just drop Claire in it. But September the 26th, we've got a rather special synod that's open invitation.
Details still to be confirmed, but we have got Bishop Debbie joining us for Synod in September, and she's also going to be spending the whole day with us in the Deanery. So we're busy working out a programme for her, which is really difficult because there's so much that we want to show her. But we do appreciate that, you know, she can't have 2 minutes here and 2 minutes there, so we do need to select things. But we will give details about that as soon as possible. We're hoping to widen the invitation for that evening to more than just Synod members. We expect there to be quite a demand for that, so it may well be that there are a certain number of places allocated per church, but we need to confirm the venue first. But so watch this space, really, I think is the answer. But it's lovely that she's going to be with us that evening.
Is there anything else on Deanery or Diocesan Synod that we need to know?
I don't think so. The only thing I would say is that the June meeting, yes, we did have social time, but I would say the prime purpose of that meeting was a Eucharist with Bishop John, followed by social time. But it is important to be able to talk to other people from the churches. And as you all know, when it's a formal meeting, you don't always have those opportunities. So we try and put those in as much as possible. I don't think there is anything else at this point.
Thank you, Claire. And thank you to all who represent us on the Deanery Synod and those in our church who represent the wider deanery at diocesan level and on diocesan boards and committees or in diocesan roles. It makes a difference to the wider church, and it's good that we can serve the church in that way. Are there any other matters that people would like to raise? If not, then I can draw this meeting to an end. Thank you for coming. Anne. You can. Are there any responses to Anne's proposal?
That's a very good idea.
And what would you be wanting it to achieve? What would be the purpose or the outcome? Rosie.
I take on board everything you're saying, Anne, and I understand it comes from a very good point. But I would suggest that there is a lot of love in this church, and I do feel that sometimes your suggestion could, if it went wrong, begin to sort of set up little, well, I want this and they want that. I mean, that's not what we're about. And I know that Beverly and the whole ministry team are always tremendously open to receiving suggestions. And I just wonder whether it's better for us to talk amongst each other as friends. But if we have something that we really think needs to be offered to the ministry team, then we do so through those channels rather than necessarily setting up a situation which could become a little bit divisive.
I'm not suggesting anything divisive. For example, I would say at this meeting that you're working towards an open church, having the church open, that is marvellous. I wonder how many of you know that all day, every day, the south door is open. I don't know what time it opens, I don't know what time it shuts. But the other day, I sat in there. There's a cushion to sit on, a cushion to put my back against. There's a plant, a box to put to put prayer ideas in, and there's a tree to put to write your prayers on. So it's nothing very controversial. And of course, we can talk in our little friendship groups, but surely we want to get to know people we don't know so well. I went to the Lent, I led one of the Lent groups, and I got to know, just start to get to know someone I did not know at all. And that's how we build community. And last year, I asked if we could have a directory so that we could get to know one another. I have got from 2017 a list of everybody who was in church then, and so it's very useful. I can ring someone up.
I'm going to have to just to say to that, that the General Data Protection Regulations just wouldn't allow us to produce a directory in that way. But there are ways, if you want to talk to an individual, either you ask them directly, there are ways to put people in touch with one another. Thank you for your idea. With permission of the meeting, I think it would be good to take that idea to the PCC for further thought. And to remind you all that we have coffee after the service every Sunday, so there's always an opportunity to talk, get to know people and welcome people every week that you can engage with. But I will bring it to the PCC and we'll make sure, we'll bring it to the PCC at a time when we can discuss it well. Rachel, your hand went up.
Yes, I was just going to say, I've been here for almost 3 years, and I always find that after Sunday morning service, I love being able to spend time in fellowship with all of you. And some Sundays I don't get to speak to everyone because there's just so many of us, which is a wonderful problem to have, but it's up to us who we sit with, it's up to us to engage, it's up to us to make the effort to speak to people that we haven't spoken to before. That's our accountability as individuals, to love our neighbour in that space that already exists, and let's just continue with it and allow those relationships to flourish. We don't always have to sit within the same tables within our own niches anymore. We can spread out and be bold and just make those relationships work with each other.
I absolutely agree with you. And Michael and my late husband felt it was part of the service to go over to have coffee. And we can all go round and sit on the tables. But in just, I'm only asking once a year, just so we can hear what other people have to say.
Well, I'll take it to the PCC. We'll have to get it right because otherwise we run the risk of creating another decision-making body, which is not part of the way that the Church of England structures us. I know, but things can become that, so we'll do it right. We'll make sure we do it. We'll consider it at PCC and make sure that we do it well. Hilary. Can you come to the microphone?
every Saturday morning from 9:30 till 11 o'clock. 2 of us sit in the church hall waiting for you to come and talk to us. We're there every week. Most weeks, not every week, because we're quite a small band. But members of the ministry team and church wardens are always there to talk and to listen to anyone who wishes to come. We have a very poor take-up, and it didn't get mentioned today, which is why I thought it was worth mentioning. But we do that so we can hear what people want, if you want, or also for weddings and baptisms. But any concerns you have, we're waiting. We're there, we're listening. Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, practically, we're so busy on Sundays, all of us, that it would, we're there, we're sitting in coffee with you. If you want to talk to someone on a Sunday, just go and tap them on the shoulder. Yes.
It's helpful, and again, we can think about that. I mean, one of the reasons for drop-in being when it is because it's also used for baptism families and wedding couples and that sort of thing, and Saturday morning seems to be when they can come. But yeah, I mean, we're always accessible on a Sunday.
Yes.
I have to admit, I mean, I love your suggestion. I'd love it even more if I didn't also have 3 or 4 services to think about. So, yeah, but yeah. So thank you for that, and the ministry team will consider that suggestion. Thank you. Joy, you got up wanting to say something, and then I'm going to ask Rachel to close us in prayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think thank you is a word that's been bandied about an awful lot today, and there is one lovely lady here that hasn't been thanked at all for the enormous amount of work that she does on behalf of us for this parish. So I think it falls upon me to thank you, Beverly, for all that you do and all that you are to us.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
Let us pray. Gracious Father, I thank you for bringing us here today to talk about your church, not our church, not my church, but your church, your holy church, which you have entrusted to all of us. And I just ask, Lord, that you will continue to guide us and help us, grant us wisdom and strength so we can pull together to proclaim the good news of your gospel, to share your Son with as many people as possible. Bless each and every person associated with this church and this village and this parish. Help us to continue, Lord, to love you, to worship you, to pray alongside each other. Help us, Lord, to live by your holy commandments and to share in your blessed sacraments. Help us, Lord, to continue to pave the way towards your kingdom. I ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you all very much. See you soon. There is a 6 o'clock service today, by the way. There's wild worship this afternoon at 4 o'clock, and there is even some at